I had the opportunity to give this presentation at the parent conference on the 24th at Eastside High School, and we had a wonderful time with our parents. And to be honest with you, I can't even take credit for the presentation because it's really not mine. Some years ago, and so many years ago now, I don't even remember who gave it, but we did a session like this at my church. And because we were doing the same thing in terms of engaging parents, working with the kids at their schools. So whenever I saw Mr. McDowell's 4 points, is that what you call it? It was the 4 points of... Four parenting steps, that one. When I read that one, it brought back this presentation to mind, and I emailed it to him and said, man, I already have a presentation, something that lines right up with this. So when he asked me to do it on the 24th, I said, all right, I already have it in place. And like I said, it's plagiarized from my perspective in terms of I didn't create it, but I sat in a session just like the one you're in now to train the trainer. So I was trained on it just like I'm training you on it, and everything that's in here is common sense. There's nothing new. There's nothing in this presentation that's going to give you like this big whiz bang of aha, something new. Then again, it might, because a lot of times when you sit into a common sense session, it helps you see things in a different way. All right, and that's what we're going to do this morning, is talk about some things, and I need to understand where I need to be for the camera and all of that, and everybody to see everything, if you can follow, because I tend to move a lot, so if the camera can go with me. Last night at Parent Night at School 10, we have 590 students. We had 370-some parents. We had a large turnout last night for Parent Night, and I was thrilled. It was very good, because we did the tallies this morning, and because I left an Ed Connect or Connect Ed message to the parents letting them know they had to come get those report cards. I was not going to release them to students. And at the end of the message I put in there, do not send your child to school tomorrow or over the next few days asking for their report card, because I'm not going to give it to them unless you've made an appointment and you now come out and get it. So I think that had a little bit to do with all of them coming out too, because now they knew they wanted to get a report card unless they had to come get it. But I was thrilled with the fact that we had over 350, close to 380 parents out of 580 kids. That's pretty good. That means only about 200 students didn't have parents there, which, you know, in the grand scheme of things, we can continue to work that. Your role is critical. And I didn't realize Shonda was supposed to be here, otherwise she could have jumped in the truck with me, all right? But in any event, if she doesn't get here, because I'm serious about that, call Miss Cooper, tell her to get over here. And if she doesn't get here, then I'll pass this along to her. But the title of the presentation, and that's why you received the pink sheet late, because I just put the title page together this morning, and that is Helping Parents Help Us. Because there's a key component to this whole school thing. And the home piece is a major piece. Major. Because a lot of times we blame the teachers, blame administration, we blame the superintendent, we blame everything. When Mr. McDowell was on the school board, we were working together during that time frame, and I would go to the school board meetings, and he was president at the time. He'd sit there, and I would hear a parent come up, and they would get on the microphone they would take the time plus the additional, because they'd ask for it. And they would lambast the whole time about their child can't read and this, that, and the other. So at the end of the tirade, Mr. McDowell would say, Ms. such and such or Mr. such and such, are you doing anything? Are you reading with your child at home? And they would look at him and say, oh, no, that's your job. And at that point, I would tell Kemper when I would say, I said, you're good, man, because there was no way in the world I could sit there and hear that and then be able to ask that question, and then they say, oh, no, that's your job. Because at that point, if it was me, thank God it wasn't me, because I'd have just said, end of discussion, next. And I'm saying that because what that parent was saying was, I'm not going to do anything at home, and I want you to do it all. And what I'm saying to you this morning is, we have to help our parents help us. We have to help our parents work with their children, because the schools, in all honesty, is not a babysitting service. And I think many of our parents really do think that our schools are set up to babysit their children. And we have to move them from that mindset, because it is a mindset. And that's what's going on over at School 10. Our parents really are becoming actively involved, whether it's Shonda or whether it's us or whether whoever it is. They are becoming actively engaged. Because last night we had a meeting at report card night that began at 5:30 promptly. Talked to them for about a half hour or so, letting them know what was going on around the school, and even gave them a parent survey. Matter of fact, I need to send a copy of the survey to Mr. McDowell. Dr. Fulmore has it, but it was a derivation of a survey that Eastside High School had done at Eastside. And I just doctored it up, changed Eastside to School 10. We handed it out last night. It'll be coming back over the next few days, kind of to get a feel like Ed Koch used to do in New York. How are we doing? That's why the survey was given out, to kind of let us know. We had a couple that's already been returned. The feedback so far is looking pretty good. But I will make sure I get a copy of that to Mr. McDowell so he'll have a copy. I'm saying all that to say, as I lead into the presentation, your role to help us is to help us change the mindset of the parents. When I taught at school number 6 would open at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we didn't close until 10 o'clock that night. And believe it or not, we had students that would be dropped off at 6, didn't go home until 10, and nobody even checked to see if they were still there. That would blow my mind. I dropped a kid off at 6 in the morning for the breakfast program. They stayed for the regular school day. Then they went to the after-school program, and then they went to night gym. And no time during that 12, 13, 14 hours did any parent or anybody come even to check to see, is my child okay? And then whenever I would ask them, well, because one time again, I draw on my experiences. When I was teaching at School 6, I said, okay, children, I want you to take home your homework, and I want your parents to sign it. Just letting me know that they saw the homework. I actually had parents come in and argue why they were not going to sign the homework. I was teaching 8th grade at the time, and they would come in and say, that's kindergartenish. Now, mind you, my daughters had gone to private school. They went over to LaGuardia Academy, or what it was known as Community at the time. My ex-wife and I at the time, we had to sign their homework every night, from K through 8. From kindergarten through 8th grade, we signed every piece of homework that our children had. So when I got into the public school, and now I have a parent arguing with me that I'm not going to sign that because that's kindergartenish, and then the other thing was, well, I'm in school myself. And I said, well, ma'am, didn't that the fact that you just said you were in school, didn't that defeat the whole purpose of what we're trying to do? If you were modeling for your child, I would think this would be a no-brainer for you. Then I had parents that would tell me, I don't see my child. At no point between the night and the morning, or the morning and the night, you don't see your child at all, at least to give 2 minutes to sign the homework? I'm saying all that, I'm sharing these stories to say, parents come up with a lot of excuses. Now, don't get me wrong. I am more than aware of a lot of our parents' plight. Single moms, working 2 and 3 jobs, single dads. Some children are raising themselves. Nobody is at home. We totally understand that. One of the discussions I had with my team yesterday was, regardless of all that, from the teaching perspective, we're doing a disservice to our children by pitying them instead of pushing them. All right? That came up yesterday. The disservice is in the pitying, not the pushing. And one of the things that I'm working with the teaching staff on is these children need to be pushed, not pitied. Pushed that they can do. I taught a language arts class yesterday, and the same children that I had teachers telling me what they couldn't do when I got in that class, talking to them just like I'm talking to you right now, couldn't stop raising their hands. They don't need to be pitied, they need to be pushed. The same thing goes with the parents. We need to get in there and help them to push their children. And that's what this presentation is about today. So the disservice is not in the pushing, the disservice is in the pitying. Okay, and so what we need to understand and help our parents understand, and as you go through, feel free to take it, because like I said, I don't know who to give the credit to for the presentation yet. When I find out, I'll let Mr. McDowell know. We can give it to him. But for right now, because it's somewhere, I guess, in that tiny print down there. Somewhere. Uh-oh. What did I click here? Did I turn the pop? There we go. Somewhere in that little tiny print down there is the person that created this presentation. I don't know who it is. So at this point, I won't take the credit for it, but just know it wasn't mine, but I can deliver it. All right? One of the things you want to help the parents understand is how their habits impact what their children do. All right? You really need to help them when you're having your sessions and talking to them, is to help them understand their habits impact what their children do at home, in the street, as well as at school. Now, as you heard Mr. McDowell say, I teach at the college level. And I teach public speaking down there. And there's a section in public speaking about body language, about how people watch what you do versus listen to what you say. Now, in a couple of seconds, I'm going to prove to you how habits or how people watching you takes more of an effect than what you say to them. Matter of fact, we're going to do that in a minute. Matter of fact, give you a good chance to stretch. Everybody stand up and give yourself some arm room. Everybody give yourself some arm room. And everybody